This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
RCMP expansion. The Mounties say they're ready for a bigger role in the province 2 years after an inquiry called for major improvements. Amherst Armory. Mold forces the closure of the building once considered for veterans housing. And a dance to move. A free class in Halifax is getting people with Parkinson's back on the dance floor.
A chance for showers and a risk for thunderstorms Friday night into early Saturday, but then we're clearing for a nice afternoon and, yes, nice Sunday as well. The details are coming up.
The RCMP says it is ready to meet the challenges of an expanded role in Nova Scotia following an evaluation of policing the province released last week. The review was done after the Mass Casualty Commission recommended it. The MCC was highly critical of the RCMP's response to the mass shooting. But the Mounties say the force continues to make improvements. Gareth Hampshire reports.
Nova Scotia's commanding RCMP officer says he recognizes some might be surprised the province is considering a larger role for the Mounties following an analysis of policing. But Dennis Daly says the force has been working to address recommendations made by the public inquiry into the mass shooting of 22 people 5 years ago. A number of changes have already been implemented as a result, he says. There were 130 recommendations, some finding major flaws in the police response, including the failure to warn people about the danger and not being properly prepared for such an event.
We've made investments on our emergency response team. We've made investments on our technology, which we refer to as Blue Force tracking, where we can actually track and deploy our members, and we know exactly where they are. We've made substantial improvements in public alerting.
The RCMP is also now doing more critical incident training scenarios, practicing how to respond to another possible mass event. Another key step, Daly says, as the force works to build trust.
I'm not naive to suggest that we have got to a level that, Nova Scotians trust us. However, certainly based on our improvements, based on our actions in the last 5 years, we have greatly enhanced and are ready for, the challenges that lay ahead.
It's still early in a transition process the Minister of Justice says will take time, but Daly has already reached out to some municipal police chiefs to gauge their reaction to the report. Some mayors have said they're worried their own police services could be pushed out and replaced by the RCMP as part of this new direction. Daly says that is not his goal, and those services do a good job. Dennis Daly's pleased the RCMP will continue as the provincial police service and expects further conversations over the next few months. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
2 people are dead after a vehicle and motorcycle collided in Annapolis County on Canada Day. RCMP responded to the collision on Highway 101 near Purdy Road in Deep Brook. Police say a westbound SUV and an eastbound motorcycle hit head-on. The motorcycle driver and passenger, a 64-year-old man and 63-year-old woman from Bear River East, died at the scene. The driver of the SUV suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Fire has completely destroyed a sawmill in New Ross. A number of area fire departments responded to the blaze Thursday evening, and when crews arrived, L.E. Elliott lumber was up in flames. While the mill, which dated back to the 1930s, was destroyed, a planer mill and office were saved. No injuries were reported. As lobster season in Cape Breton comes to a close, fishermen are divided on how this fishing season compares to last year's. Around the CBRM, it was a bad year, but in northern Cape Breton, it's a different story. Anna Rack has more.
It's been an up and down season for lobster fishermen in Cape Breton. Here in North Sydney, at Ballast Grounds Fisheries, lobster fishermen bring in a haul. But the catch this year has dwindled. Fishermen in the area say they are seeing about a 20% decrease from last year.
I'd say global warming is a big impact. They're moving more north towards Newfoundland. A couple different things could be implemented to make it better. Maybe trap reduction, maybe earlier start. couple little things, but definitely on the decline for sure in our area.
On Chris Eiking's boat, the Alexandria Jean, they're seeing more female spawn lobster in their traps. So these last couple weeks of the season, they're taking their traps out of the water earlier than normal to hopefully help the lobster population grow. It's all in an effort to sustain the industry for the future.
As a business, trying to run your business, very hard. There's a big burden now with the rising cost of bait, and everything's getting very expensive. Pays are going up. So it's definitely hard on the new guys for sure getting into it.
The decline in catch is a trend seen in other Cape Breton fishing communities as well. Here in Point Coney, lobster fishermen have been seeing a significant decline in the amount of lobsters caught this past season. Just across the water in Alder Point, they've been seeing about a 30% decline this past season. But near the northern tip of Victoria County, it's a different story. Fishermen are reporting a significant increase, about a 30% higher catch.
This year, for example, nobody anticipated that it would continue to increase from last year. But again, significant landings for our harvesters. So I guess a good news story. Fortunately, we didn't have to deal with tariffs right now. If there were tariffs in place, it would be going from a good news story to a very bad news story real fast.
The fishermen in Point Coney, Alder Point, and North Sydney all hope to see a better year next year. Anna Rack, CBC News, North Sydney.
And we've got Ryan with a first look at the weather. So a beautiful Friday in Cape Breton and right across the province.
Yeah, that's right. Beautiful day overall. A few showers and rumbles of thunder early on today, and watching a few more firing up as we speak, Amy, this Friday evening. Have a look at our high temperatures today. Mid-20s for the most part, low to mid-20s, a nice day. And again, things active out there over the last little bit. Cape Breton, a couple of rumbles of thunder that have cleared away at the North Shore and most recently just inland there towards the Halifax County area. So things are going to stay a little on the active side for this Friday evening. As we walk you through the timeline, we will continue to see the risk for some showers and thunderstorms into Saturday morning, particularly through Cape Breton and the North Shore. And there's an isolated risk even into the afternoon. Now, Saturday afternoon, for the most part, looks fantastic across the province. Some clouds draping in for Sunday early on, but we'll mix out to a sun and cloud mix as the temperatures really rise on Sunday. Your full weekend forecast and all the details with your 7-day coming up.
All right, we'll chat soon. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, an armory in Amherst that was being eyed for veterans housing has been closed due to mold. That means the building can no longer be used by a local museum, veterans, and cadet groups. Luke Ettinger reports.
Boards and cables have supported the Ralston Armory sandstone structure for years, but now the federal government has closed the downtown Amherst building due to mold. The drill hall is where the Northern Nova Scotia Highlanders trained and now hosts a regimental museum.
The decision to close the armory was poorly communicated. But the hard reality of the situation is that a recent environmental review determined that there is a dangerous level of mold in the building.
The building was previously closed in 2020, but Ottawa quickly reopened it after the community rallied in support. The Department of National Defence could not be reached for comment before deadline.
Hurdle says the building and other surplus assets will be the focus of a private member's bill she plans to introduce in fall. Meanwhile, an area MLA thinks the building could be a vessel for increased military spending promised by the Carney government.
The reality is the Canadian military is made up of women and men, people. And people need a place to train. People need a place to work out of. Why not work from a building that is a very important part of our history here in all of Canada, not just here locally in the town of Amherst.
Last year, the federal government listed the Armory as one of 5 buildings with potential for housing. The town of Amherst has budgeted $50,000 for a feasibility study to determine if they could work with the federal government to maintain the museum and renovate part of the building for veterans housing.
Unfortunately, with this recent announcement, we're not, you almost go into a hold pattern to find out, well, what's the story here?
The curator of the museum says he has no timeline for if or when the building will be repaired, but he has one request.
The big point is to keep it a military building, to honor the military people. That's what it's all about.
In the meantime, countless artifacts remain in the armory that can no longer host cadet groups or a weekly meetup of veterans. Luke Ettinger, CBC News, Amherst.
Porters Lake residents are applauding Halifax Council's decision to reject a plan for a local construction and demolition facility. Keyan Management has aimed to open a recycling facility for construction materials in a residential area on Highway 7 for a decade. Last week, councillors rejected the proposed site plan. Many said there was not enough screening on the sides and rear of the site. The owners can now address the issues and resubmit their plan. Residents say the fight is not over.
We still face the prospect of this potentially still being put in our community. So, we're still, as a community and, a bunch of committed folks, we're definitely ready to, keep the fight going as long as it takes.
Municipal staff are exploring whether Halifax planning rules can be updated to keep these sites out of residential areas in the future. Cape Breton University is getting a brand new daycare facility. The province and the university are sharing the cost of construction. The new facility will have over 100 spaces, triple the number of the current daycare center. The daycare is expected to open next year. A Halifax class is getting people with Parkinson's out of the house and back on the dance floor. Dance to Move offers free dance classes for people with Parkinson's and their caregivers. It's all about helping improve mobility, balance, strength, and well-being. Classes are put on by Finn Performing Arts. Take a look.
One more time. Dance is really wonderful for the body and the mind and the spirit. And any Parkinson's people who are mobile and can get out to the classes, I would highly, highly recommend it. It's great fun.
I've been here for about 3 months now. Almost every week you start very gradual and then get what happens with Parkinson's is everything's small and slow and stiff. And so even the big movements that we do is very, very helpful to stretch up, but also in that moment to be intentional about it, and to also then to do it in a gentle way. The breathing is part of that too. So
when I see everybody doing something together to the music, and I can sometimes see people be lost in the music, and I know how that feels as a dancer. Like, I know the feeling of being like so immersed in what you're doing, and when I see that in the participants, I'm so touched by that, because I feel like that's a really important thing as a human, to have like that feeling. My father had Parkinson's for about 16 years, and at that time I knew that some movement, like I knew about neuromuscular pathways and sort of patterning, like, going across your body does good things in your brain. So I was doing a little bit of that with him, but I didn't really know a lot about the benefits of dance for Parkinson's, despite being a dancer. Before he passed away, Dance Nova Scotia did an initiative called Dance for Health. It's an ongoing initiative. And through that program, they offered instructors the opportunity to certify in teaching dance for people with Parkinson's disease. So I certified to teach it. And then my father passed away, and then I wasn't sure if I was going to really do it. But then there were some participants that I knew through other ways who were saying, we'd really like to have a class for Parkinson's. And so it was a small group, but I said, okay, we'll try. And I applied for funding from Parkinson Canada to do the classes.
I like it because there's lots of improvisation. There's things that we do together, but also things that are very unique. So that's one thing that's very nice. But I also like the social aspect. So there's an element of learning to do things with other people in sync, or just imagining and creating an emotion where you're kind of building on what other people do, or you're kind of influenced by other people's creativity and movement, I suppose. Or it's like encouragement together, really.
So what I feel like is really important is that the participants have created this class. That's the way it feels to me, and I just kind of carry it forward, but they're just so great. I love them. I look forward to it. It's a highlight of my week.
Beautiful night for a sail on Halifax Harbour. Ryan is up next with a full weather forecast. Do stay with us. All right, we're back, and it sounds like we're having a lovely weekend ahead, but not enough to break that streak.
Not enough to break the streak. The streak continues. Some precipitation falling somewhere in the province, at least 1, if not 2 days this weekend.
And where are we at? 15 weeks?
Yeah, I think 15 weeks. We have to go all the way back to March, so it's a long trend. But we're going to break it. I can feel it next weekend.
But you know what? The lawns do need it, right?
Yeah, for sure. We do need the rain. It's nice, looking at the fire weather index. Nothing extreme or too high right now, so that's the good news. And we are watching more showers, primarily for tonight into Saturday. I think Sunday will remain dry, which is good. Have a look at this beautiful shot.
I know that spot.
Yeah, beautiful Somerville, quarter deck, few folks on the patio.
Wouldn't you like to be there right now?
Yeah. And if you look way in the distance, a few folks enjoying the lovely beach as well. Whether you're on the deck or the beach this weekend, it's going to be a great weekend. Just have to watch for a few of those showers, and we'll do our best to time them out for you here now as we look at the temperatures. It is super comfortable out there. Look at the dew point as well. The dew point is right in the wheelhouse for where it should be for this time of year. As you can see, I mean, we're noticeable, comfortable, but overall it looks very nice. A little on the sticky side still for you folks in Cape Breton, but overall nice indeed. Those humidex values riding into the mid-20s for the most part. Still 30 at the airport, a little higher than some of the other spots. Antigonish at 29. And we are watching a couple of isolated showers and a few rumbles of thunder that have popped up just right along the 102 at right around the Stewiacke area. This cell here, which is rolling through. Another cell that just went south of Stewiacke, and then another here around the 336 where it connects with the 289. That is working its way out there towards Pictou County, likely over the next couple of hours. You folks will have to keep an eye on that, but these are fairly isolated, and we'll continue to watch the possibility of an isolated shower or rumble of thunder, even into the overnight and even into Saturday morning, because this cooler pocket of air wrapping in around the backside of this low is going to be keeping things a little on the unsettled side. Cooler air spilling into the prairies. How cool? Well, as you can see, it's 32 in Winnipeg, and it is just 17 in Edmonton. And that colder air is swinging in there. For us, we're tracking this air mass here, which is rising the temperatures, 31 in Chicago, and 32, as I said, in Winnipeg, and 34 in Minneapolis. That is the air mass we're going to tap into Sunday and into Monday on the other side of this ridge. So here's how things are going to play out tonight. That risk for showers and thunderstorms will continue this evening into the overnight, as I said. Temperatures 13 to 14 degrees and a comfortable sleep for tonight, which is great. As we walk our way through Friday evening, you can see those isolated showers will kind of fizzle out. As I said, though, an isolated risk even into the overnight, swinging around this low. Note Saturday morning, Antigonish towards Cape Breton. This is going to be the potential for tomorrow morning here in the northeast. It's beautiful from the get-go. The Tri-County area, the South Shore, the Valley, looking great in through the metro area from start to finish. It's the North Shore and Cape Breton. We're going to keep an eye on those shower chances, primarily in the morning for Cape Breton, and a risk developing into the afternoon right through here, even Colchester, Cumberland, down into the Eastern Shore into the afternoon. Just keep your eye on the sky. Overall, lots of sunshine for tomorrow. Tomorrow evening looks great as well. 18 to 22 for Cape Breton tomorrow. Low 20s for the eastern mainland. A little bit warmer here away from that flow from the north and west and northwest for the east. As you can see, temperatures are going to be in the 22 to 24 range, and we'll climb into the 24 to 26 range for most in through the west. Yarmouth, a little cooler, 21 to 22. Okay, so some clouds draping in on Sunday morning. Perhaps a bit of a sluggish start, but it does look like we'll mix out to a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday afternoon. Temperatures really rising nicely. We're going to be ranging between about 26 to 30 on the mainland, 21 to 25 across Cape Breton. A bit cooler again, Tri-County area with the onshore flow there. This front will sink into the region slowly but surely throughout Monday. And so ahead of it, the mugginess is really going to climb. As you can see, we're into the mighty muggy, truly tropical range for Monday and into Tuesday, and then really crashing down on the other side of that front for Wednesday. And that you will see is very similar in terms of what we'll see temperature-wise. So, the front comes through Tuesday, and then, we're kind of back into the mid-20s for the end of the week, maybe some low 20s for Friday. We'll wait and see on that. But overall, that humidity thankfully has an expiry date yet again, Amy.
All right. Thanks for that, Ryan.
Thank you.
A 5-meter tall flower covered in solar panels has been attracting a lot of attention on PEI. The smart flower generates enough electricity to power 2 classrooms at a Charlottetown school. And starting this fall, it's going to be generating lots of conversations in the classroom as well. The CBC's Nancy Russell reports.
The smart flower has been turning a lot of heads since it arrived here on the front lawn of Colonel Gray High School. If you look closely, it's covered in solar panels, generating enough electricity to power 2 classrooms, but also powering a lot of curiosity.
Anytime you have new technology come into a school like this, there's always a little bit of excitement because nobody knows what it does or how it's going to work. So it really gives students an opportunity to be curious.
It's great to see a working model here. I can get my students down here to show how this works and take them to the lab and show them all the data analysis that's being done. It gives them a real feeling that it's not just something in the future, it's happening right now.
The smart flower was installed over the fall and winter at a cost of just over $300,000 and opens and closes along with the sun. It caught the eye of PEI's Environment Minister, who was visiting the plant in Ontario where the smart flower is manufactured. At that point, there was only one other installation at a school in Saskatoon.
Next year, in the program that I teach here, the students have to do work that is involved around environmental sustainability. Obviously, sustainability and solar power fits into that nicely.
The teachers say the smart flower can be connected to lots of subject areas, not just science and the environment, but also math, creative writing, and art. There's also a practical side, raising awareness about jobs in renewable energy.
We have great discussions in our classroom to talk about the different career opportunities regarding the solar panel production, the engineering behind it, the maintenance, the data analysis. There are so many jobs.
The teachers say there is also something unique about a solar installation shaped like a flower.
It really shows the connection with what I teach in biology. Our world runs on photosynthesis. Our world runs on the sun. So to see that it is an actual flower and it does operate that way, I mean, it's a simple way to make a connection with the curriculum.
School may be over for the summer, but the smart flower will keep doing its thing, a lesson in solar energy for everyone to see. Nancy Russell, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Coming up, what a slice. A Halifax pizzeria is being recognized for having one of the best pizza chefs in the world. A big honor for a Halifax pizzeria. The owner of Lupe Coup has been named as one of the top 100 pizza chefs in the world. And I'm here with Cedric Tulek. So congratulations.
Thank you and hello.
How did you find out that you were in this elite group of pizza chefs?
I found out before taking my coffee, so it was by email, and I thought it was a scam at the beginning. And I had to dig in and to double check if everything was legit. And the guys behind the scene of this organization are actually great experts and wise, so I couldn't believe it was them for real. And yeah, after talking to them, I knew it was the right person.
So you made the short list of what, 500?
Yeah, we were actually 500 in Milan, yeah.
Right. But then you flew to Italy. Tell me about that.
So I had to take the flight, so the organization invited me there, and they asked me if I could make it, knowing that I was in a small city in Halifax and the beginning of summer. And I decided to go just because I knew I was going to meet some of my idols, some of the master of the craft that I know by heart. I followed them for decades, and they really inspire the entire globe in our specialty. And just for that reason, it was worth it. So I decided to go.
But we're talking earlier, you said it was kind of like the Oscars.
Yeah, it worked a bit like the same way. So you are invited, that's really cool, and the ceremony starts, and like in the Oscar or any kind of important gala, you sit, you know what's at the end, but you probably don't expect to have it, at least I didn't expect it. And when our name went on the big screen, that was a dream, beyond a dream coming true, yeah.
So how did your passion for pizza start?
So my passion, pizza hooked me when I was the most lost in my career in the food industry. So I started as a cook in different kind of restaurant, all kind of food, fast, fine, etc. I wanted to try pastry. I didn't know what I wanted exactly. I was passionate about food, about agriculture, about environment, and I didn't know where to give a direction to my career. And I was traveling in south of France a few years ago, and I heard about a world championship about pizza that was happening in Rome. And I noticed that at this level, the craftsmanship and the study and the knowledge and innovation that was involved in it was fascinating. And on top of the knowledge, you need to be a great baker, a great pizzaiolo. You need to have really good knowledge and taste of cuisine. So pizza streamlined all the passion I had. So it brought me clarity and alignment too. So I knew it was pizza.
And you have a specific genre of pizza that you specialize in. Tell me about that.
Yes, this is a bit confusing still for most of our guests so far. We all know the famous Napolitan pizza. We're not doing that. We're not doing New York style either. We're not doing Brazilian style or Asian. We're doing Classica, which is more like a Roman approach. So it's less chewy, the temperature of the oven is lower, the dough has a different philosophy, approach, history and legacy and technique. Also, the way we build pizza after bake, it's different than Napolitan, but it's really niche and it's still unique here in the city.
Well, how did you end up in Halifax?
So that's a great story that we need a bottle of wine maybe to pass through all of it. But how I ended up in Canada, I was raised by my grandparents. And when my grandpa passed, he was someone extremely serious, a hard worker, gentleman. And you know, these books full of pictures that our grandparents used to do. Now everything is on cloud, but I got it. And the only time I saw my grandfather with a smile and doing a little bit of the clown was in Canada. He was actually in Quebec City. And I promised myself, I was 16 years old when he passed roughly. And I told myself, when I will be 18, I will go there and take the same picture, the same pose, and the same clothing, because he was old gentleman, suit and tie. And I did it, and when I came back to France, that was the first time I was crying like a man. I was like, oh, something happened there. I traveled around the world. I love all the country I visited, but Canada hooked my heart, yeah.
Well, tell me about how locals have embraced your style of pizza, especially now that they know you've gotten this ranking.
So the locals, we have great support, tons of love we receive from locals, and we still have people that question what we do, like, hey, why you and why not this one? We don't understand what you do. You do not answer our code of pizza, etc. But then we take the time to talk to our guests, to talk to the community, and to talk to our team. So we really try to infuse our culture, where we come from. We do different. We cook different, we bake different, but we are deeply grounded in the local agriculture. So we are lucky to, even if you don't like our pizza, let's say your texture code markers are different than ours, your craving for cheese and fat, salt, or acidity are different than what we do here. At the end of the day, we all know the same farmer. We all know the same agriculture. We all know the same miller. And we all know the same people at the market Saturday or Sunday morning. So this is where we are all connected. And we share that love for artisanry, and that unites us all. But we still have we need more time to explain and to be fully accepted. Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations on the big honor.
Thank you.
Best of luck
Appreciate
going
it.
forward.
Thank you.
Coming up, a ceasefire deal. Hamas says it is ready to start negotiations on how to implement the proposed 60-day truce. And Russia strikes Kyiv with missiles and drones in its largest aerial attack since the war in Ukraine began. Welcome back. Hamas has submitted its response to the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal. It's describing that response as positive and says it's ready to start negotiations on how to implement the plan. Still, there is no deal yet and no end to Israel's offensive. In Khan Yunis, an airstrike hit a tent encampment, and there were more reports of deaths among Palestinians seeking aid. Across the enclave, Gaza officials reported 138 killed over 24 hours. At the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, demonstrators urged for a deal to free the Israeli hostages. Hamas reportedly wants guarantees the proposed 60-day truce will lead to a permanent ceasefire, something Israel has so far rejected. Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant was relying on emergency diesel generators for 3.5 hours Friday after power leading into the facility went down. It's now restored, but the UN's nuclear agency warns the safety situation remains, quote, extremely precarious. The plant lies on the front line of the war with Russia. Ukraine says that Russian shelling damaged the lines. The news came as Kyiv was recovering from the latest Russian air onslaught. It began early evening and ended around dawn. Ukrainian officials reported 11 missiles and 539 drones. One person was killed, 23 injured. 40 apartment blocks were damaged and 5 schools. It came hours after phone discussions between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Trump spoke with Ukraine's president after the attack, reportedly agreeing on cooperation to boost the country's air defenses. The Trump administration says it will begin to send out letters to countries with details of higher U.S. tariff rates that will go into effect August 1st. Canada is exempt from the so-called Liberation Day tariffs, and trade talks between the two countries have now resumed after Trump abruptly terminated them last week.
You've got two tough negotiators here. You've got the Prime Minister and you've got the President of the United States, and neither one of them is going to walk away when we get an agreement thinking that they got a lousy deal. They're both going to say there's wins in here for Canada, there's wins in here for the United States. It's a good deal for both of us.
Trump agreed to resume trade negotiations with Canada after the federal government scrapped the digital sales tax targeting large U.S. technology firms. Both countries are aiming for a deal by July 21st. This year's 4th of July celebrations in the U.S. come as President Donald Trump continues to insist his country should annex Canada. The CBC's Thomas Dagla traveled to one border city and found Americans pushing back on the president's rhetoric and hoping Canadian tourists and shoppers will soon return.
Steering through both U.S. and Canadian waters, this Buffalo, New York tour boat shows visitors how the city's intertwined with its neighbor, Ontario.
We consider ourselves almost Canadian because when I travel, they say, where are you from? So Buffalo, New York. Oh, by Manhattan? Like, no, we're pretty much Canada.
Buffalo Harbor Cruises is giving Canadians 30% off all summer. So is the Buffalo Bison's baseball team. All in a region where Canadians were known in the past to spend more than $2 billion US a year.
Up to 40% of tourists here typically come from the Greater Toronto area. Now local businesses are trying to lure back visitors upset about the U.S. president's rhetoric about Canada.
U.S. border data shows a 24% drop year over year in travelers crossing into Western New York.
I think it's really insulting that our president even suggests that you would be a state.
Usually there's oodles and boodles of folks coming. I haven't seen it.
The tourism office is even paying for this billboard ad, telling drivers in Toronto, Buffalo loves Canada. A long-running campaign they pulled back from in the winter when Donald Trump threatened punishing tariffs.
What were the messages you were getting back in February?
Yeah, it was very negative. And so it was, Canadians are very kind at the same time, but it's like, we love you, Buffalo, but we'll see you in 4 years after the Trump administration is over with.
Border crossings here never fully recovered since COVID hit. A sustained drop especially felt now, even at this children's museum.
The traffic's not there. It is really tough and difficult to kind of see just kind of where the relationship is right now.
The city's banking on Canadians returning someday, whether for a boat tour or just a visit. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Buffalo, New York.
The Calgary Stampede has opened, and organizers are hoping for another year of record-setting attendance. And as the CBC's Paula Duhacek reports, even amid a trade war, fairgoers are ready to spend.
And just like that, another Stampede is off to the races.
I am so excited to be here.
It's going to be an incredible experience for me, for being a maritimer.
Super excited. I have all my Stampede fits planned.
The Calgary Stampede is known as the greatest outdoor show on earth, but it's also considered an economic bellwether for Alberta.
I think it reflects current conditions, how people are feeling about the state of the economy, the state of the energy sector, but also a little bit forward-looking as well.
Even amid a trade war, there's plenty of excitement in the city. This Stampede comes amid talk from politicians of Canada becoming an energy superpower, and after years of inflation, prices have started to even out.
To me, this all supports more optimism, cautious optimism, around Stampede time.
Last year, the Stampede set a record with more than 1.4 million visitors, and this year, organizers are expecting even more.
There's a lot of people that are staying closer to home this year, and this is one of the biggest events in Canada. I think it's on a lot of people's bucket lists to come and check out.
Clean today.
We've got a lot of premium suites that we sell in the GMC Stadium for the rodeo and the chucks, and those are all sold out.
Visitors say their wallets are open. Do you have a budget for Stampede?
Heck no. Spend all of it.
And there are plenty of opportunities to spend money.
The sweet tea with boba.
Can do $35, I think, for 3 of them. Yes.
How much for the fries?
I think $16. Yes.
Well, 2 pairs. This one and a pair of these.
How much did that set you back?
200.
The Stampede says the economic impact of the next 10 days is around $282 million. But at the end of the day, you can't put a price on a good time.
Yahoo!
Yahoo! Yahoo! Paula Duhacek, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, cases of melanoma, the potentially deadly form of skin cancer, are on the rise in Canada. It's also one of the most common types of cancer found in young adults. But experts say many young people are not aware of the risks while exposing themselves to the sun. Alison Northcott looks at why and what can be done to improve awareness.
As these Toronto beachgoers enjoy the hot summer sun, some lather on sunscreen, while others prefer to go without.
No, I don't usually put on sunscreen. Just lie right down and tan.
A recent study looking at what Canadian adults do to prevent UV exposure found more than 60% of respondents never or only occasionally use sunscreen on the body. Young adults 18 to 29 had higher odds than those 70 and up of spending more time in the sun, using tanning beds, and getting sunburns.
Our messaging in terms of engaging in appropriate sun protection are just not penetrating into the minds of Canadians.
The study's author says some changes could help, like making sunscreen tax-free or free so more people can afford it. And increasing awareness about the links between UV exposure and skin cancer is also key.
Melanomas, you don't get them in your 60s. You get them by burning your skin as adolescents and young adults.
Let me take a look at this. Cases of melanoma, the most serious form of skin cancer with the highest risk of death, increased by an estimated 17% between 2023 and 2024, according to Melanoma Canada.
Men in particular are using less sunscreen. There may be an influence of social media and sort of a backlash against sunscreen use. Tanning is still popular.
Get your skin checked.
Kelly Johnston was first diagnosed with skin cancer at 24, then 3 years ago with melanoma.
It definitely wakes you up when you get a scare like this. So your protection and what you do with the sun or how to avoid the sun is just so much more important.
But for some, the risk can seem far off.
Sometimes I prefer to just get that tan in the moment. I'll worry about that later.
Dermatologists say to protect yourself, apply and reapply sunscreen often and cover up with protective clothing in the sun to prevent tanning, burns, and future skin cancer. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
The summer heat in Canada draws people to the water for a cool dip. It also brings renewed warnings about the dangers of swimming. Experts are advising people to be cautious and to pay attention in the water. Jennifer Yoon reports.
It's just past dawn.
All right, welcome to the beach.
And these Torontonians are braving the chilly waves of Lake Ontario. Some are novices.
I started 4 sessions ago, I'm a beginner.
Today's my first time in open water with waves, so I'm very intimidated, I can't lie.
Others, pros.
There's something really joyful about just being out in the open.
It's not just some summer fun. It's also potentially life-saving.
Let yourself shiver. I want you to let yourself shiver, okay?
The most important thing from a safety perspective is learning about some of the conditions, so the cold, the wind, the current.
On average, 442 people drown in Canada every year. Drownings most frequently happen in natural bodies of water over the summer and among recreational swimmers. Already this year, people have died in the water. At this urban beach in Montreal, 2 suspected drownings in June.
The capacity of you to see through the water, current, and all these factors have an impact on the risk of drowning.
And it only takes a moment before the worst case scenario happens, even for strong swimmers.
The problem is you could have health complications that are not associated with swimming. For example, a heart attack or a stroke.
Some strategies for water safety, he says. Don't swim alone. Avoid alcohol or drugs before swimming and wear a life jacket. For families watching kids in the water, adults must keep their eyes on kids at all times and stay within arm's reach.
There's endless opportunities for water recreation, and we want you to have so much fun in the water and do it safely.
Because learning how to swim safely, even in some murky water, can enrich a life, even save it. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada's main stock index finished slightly higher today, helped by strength in the real estate sector, while U.S. markets were closed for the 4th of July. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to break. Yeah, it sounds like both days you're going to get some good summer weather, right?
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
A little bit of timing to work on, but it sounds pretty nice overall.
Yeah, definitely. It's the east at Cape Breton in particular that we'll have to wait for Saturday to clear out. Saturday late afternoon into the evening, though, looking solid there. Let's have a look first at our viewer picture of the day. Have a look at this. We're going to zoom in on a very popular spot this summer, Risters Beach. And you know that...
Oh, wow.
But Doug with this shot saying, note the fog monster
and just
looming.
Hanging out there.
Yeah.
But it's off for far enough, right?
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, how many times will folks along the Atlantic coastline see a scene just like this, where the fog monster's kind of looming there, you know, threatening, but doesn't ultimately move in, or at least we hope.
Too many times.
Yeah. Doug, thank you so much for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. Watching some active weather up towards the Stewiacke area, and these cells are pushing up now into Pictou County. Looks like they'll kind of thread the needle between New Glasgow and Antigonish, rolling up there over the next couple of hours, or perhaps rolling right into Antigonish. So just watch that over the next few hours. And again, the chance for showers and storms will continue overnight and into Saturday morning. Cape Breton, the Northumberland shore, even back towards Colchester, Cumberland, including Truro, with an isolated risk in the morning and again into the afternoon. Temperatures are going to be a bit cooler in the east on Saturday as a result, and then we'll be watching things to clear out, and it'll be a little bit warmer for western areas. Sunday, really nice. Temperatures will range between 26 and 29 or 30 degrees for most inland areas. We will be cooler. Yarmouth, the Atlantic coastline, even onshore winds in Cape Breton will likely keep temps a little bit cooler there. But overall, it's going to be quite lovely indeed for Sunday. Watch the chances for showers kind of fade away there as that system moves out through Saturday into Sunday. Watching that cloud to be a little bit stubborn in the morning, but will mix out into a mix of sun and cloud into the afternoon. So things looking pretty good there, Amy.
Pretty nice. All right, well, this one may make you feel hungry, or it may just suppress your appetite for a bit. It is the 4th of July Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest in Coney Island, New York. Go! This year saw the return of 16-time champion Joey Chestnut. He was banned from participating last year due to a competing sponsorship with a plant-based food company. Chestnut returned to his winning form, gulping down an astounding 70.5 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes.
Oh, the defending champion came in a distant second with 46.5 for the women's field. Reigning champion Miki Sudo earned her 11th win, scarfing down 33 hot dogs.
Yeah, that makes my stomach hurt just looking at it.
Sleep for 2 days.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great weekend.